Hello everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to the Polity, reaching you live from Kaftan Television Studios. I am Olugbenga George in Abuja. As the 2023 general elections are fast approaching, there have been calls for a third force following the largely poor performance of the two major political parties in managing the country's resources. Concerns Nigerians from all walks of life have been making attempts at creating alternative means for mobilizing the Nigerian people, some of which have surfaced in form of a new political movement. Former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Adewole Adebayo, recently asked Nigerians to reject the ruling All Progressives Congress, that's the APC, and the leading opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the 2023 general polls. As good as this seems, can it be regarded as the way forward for a country like Nigeria? Do we really need a third force in Nigeria? Will the third force be the final succor that will give Nigeria and Nigerians a breath of fresh life? These and many more questions are begging for answers as the debate for a third force continues. And of course, on today's edition of the Polity, we will look into our third force in Nigeria with new movements coming up on board. And after this quick break, which we'll get a report and we move straight into the conversation where my guest joins me. Stay with us. Welcome to the Polity.
The National Consultative Front leaders of conscience of the Third Force movement in Nigeria have set up a shadow government to save Nigerians from misrule and incompetence. This was the center of discussion at the NCF Leadership Conference held on 8 December 2021 in Abuja. The theme, titled Quest to Rescue Nigeria for a New Nigeria, was brought about to address and intervene in all national issues as it affects the growth of the nation.
Leaders of conscience under the umbrella of the Third Force movement, initiated by the National Consultative Front, NCFront, is again compelled to intervene in the national growing misrule and national confusion by setting up a formidable national shadow government to provide alternative intervention and solutions to the problems of national governance in the various sectors of Nigerian political and economic endeavor. However, while we shall continue to update the list from time to time, the following are the distinguished members of our historic shadow government. A. Security. 1. ACGAA Wakili, retired, the lead speaker. 2. Ejiro NS Ofoye, Esquire. 3. Bulus Hakila. B. Agriculture and Rural Development. 1. Chief Razak Eyiyuawi, lead speaker. 2. Mr. Kalanda Ogan. 3. Princess Ade Ogunleye. 4. Jagun Lukman Abiodun. I. Poverty eradication and affirmative action. 1. Barrister Adewole Adebayo, lead speaker. 2. Honorable Dr. Olu Sibyl Osimi Wilson.
Responding to comments being made on the functions and mission of the group as regards moving the country forward, stakeholders noted that if the cabinet members of the present administration are combined in their will and purpose, then the continual wastage of resources and time by the government would be minimal, and thereby calling to order the government in living up to their respective solutions and improving the livelihood of the citizens.
Nigeria cannot be unfortunate to the point that only those who are in the cabinet of President Buhari have solutions to the problems of the country. If that were the case, then we should consider ourselves doomed. Because for the past 6 years, these wise men, whom in the perspective of President Buhari are the best for him to run his government, have run everything aground. And we're not saying this just to embarrass the government. The government knows that they have these challenges. So our duty is to tell Nigerians that don't lose hope. Apart from those who are working with President Buhari in his cabinet, there are other Nigerians who are thinking about solutions to these problems. We are not opposing the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are not opposing the government of Nigeria. We are opposing the policies of the administration. And the policies of the administration have had negative effects on the people. And not only are we opposing these policies, we are opposing the implementation of these policies and the wastage of resources and wastage of time. So we are now giving them solutions so that people can see that it is not that the problems of Nigeria have no solution. It is that the government in power has no solutions to them. But there are other people who have solutions to them. So if instead of you thinking of saying the country is hopeless and I'm living for Canada, I'm living for Europe, I'm living for Ghana, you will say, okay, time will soon be up for these people who have no solutions. And these people who have solutions will come in. And when we do come in, you have something to remind us of. And say, but you spoke this way and that way on these issues, and you have solutions to them. So why are you not implementing them now? Or why are you implementing them in a manner that is not as efficient as the way we present it? So the idea is to help the country, and you also help the government if they want to make use of the contributions.
We found ourselves in a situation where things are too difficult. We don't want to join the army of people who will just be criticizing for political benefit. Because criticism in Nigeria basically could only be viewed from that perspective. But we are saying that we have a country and we have a people. And if we are talking about the future, especially 2023, the fundamental question is, if nothing is done to secure the confidence of Nigerians in the country, by 2023, will there be a country for us to contest election? And so what we are trying to do here is to tell Nigerians that, look, yes, this country belongs to all of us. We have problems, but let us not lose hope in the country. And let us not consign the country to leadership. Nigeria do not belong to people in government. It belongs to Nigerians.
It's therefore imperative that citizens come together and understand the problems of the government and fight for a change to further bring about a lasting solution for a better and new Nigeria.
Now you're welcome back to the conversation. Right now, I have been joined by Barrister Adewole Adebayo, the lead speaker for National Consultative Front on Government and Poverty Eradication. It's good to have you join me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation.
Barrister Adewole, there's been calls for a third force in Nigeria, and it didn't just start since this year. In 2019, you would remember that a whole lot of parties emerged, and at some point they decided to, come together and form a coalition that would represent the third force in Nigeria. But it looked like either they weren't serious, I wouldn't know what to say, or that it wasn't successful in the end. And now, the National Consultative Front, which you represent, is coming out, to present to Nigerians an opportunity, of dialogue and mobilization for political leadership. I'm going to ask you, this idea sounds very good because obviously it is what Nigerians want. But do you think it is the way forward, considering the political atmosphere of Nigeria at this moment, looking at the ruling of Progressive Congress and the lead opposition party, the lead People's Democratic Party?
Okay, now, you reference the past. What we're doing now is different from what was done in the past.
Okay.
In the past, every third political party, that is the parties that were not in government, thought it that they could do it on their own.
Okay.
So you had forces not coordinated together, but meaning to oppose the two political parties. So what we are doing this time around is to see that all the forces come together to make the third force. Now, the PDP is an opposition in name only. It does not do the job of an opposition. So if you had a guard dog in your house that is a pet to intruders and plays with them and joins them sometimes, then that's no longer a guard dog. That's just a pet. Now, the two political parties have become one in terms of ideology, in terms of methods, in terms of membership even. So no, it's no longer news in this country for someone to wake up in the morning as an APC member and go to lunch as a PDP member, and that same day go to bed back as an APC member and vice versa. So they are the same, and Nigerians do understand that. So in 2015, before this became a reality, or realization of this came to the fore, Nigerians were tired of PDP and its 16 years of antics and disappointment. What the coalition managed to do was to form APC, and they went for a man of the people to brand themselves. They went from General Muhammadu Buhari, who Nigerians know from time to be a man of conscience and a man that has patriotism and love for the people. But after politically kidnapping the man and gaining power, it became clear to Nigerians that the PAPC was just PDP operatives who had devised a method for staging a coup within themselves. There were two factions of PDP that were in contention, and the faction that lost out decided to team up with some people who have been claiming progressive credentials, and they formed APC, but they are still using and operating with PDP methods and having PDP results. Now, what they want to do was to fool the people twice, which is in 2023, they will now reorganize themselves and flow back to PDP and use the same method so that it looks, people get dazed. The Nigerian people will get dazed and say, okay, whichever way we do, we lose. We vote for PDP, they spend 8 years, we lose. They spend 16 years, we lose. We vote for APC, we lose. Then there's no hope. So the young ones will say, let us leave the country. The people who are in public service will say, there's no point being honest. Let's make money. Those who are running their business will say, let's lose interest in politics. So the political culture will be corrupted, and people who have talents, who want to come to government, will not be believed, or they will not believe in themselves. So we now said, okay, this is what we need to do. Let us create a third force. The third force will play the second force role and the third force role. The reason why we are calling ourselves the third force is that we want to nominally recognize that PDP is another party, but it's not another force. It's every room, or each room in a 2-bedroom flat is part of the flat. So the political establishment has two branches, the APC and the PDP. The only difference between the APC and the PDP is that the PDP is not in power at the federal level, in the executive branch, but it's in power at state level, in seriously well-resourced states spread across the country. But their behavior and that of the PDP governors mirror each other. They are the same. Now, if you look at the federal government, the PDP has substantial influence in legislation in the National Assembly. They are strong in both arms of the legislature, both houses of the parliament. But you do not see any ideological line. They are all pursuing the same goal. So what Nigerians are being served with are a Coke and Fanta kind of situation. So you see a situation where either way you are taking sugar. So what we decided to do was to give them a healthy menu by going to form this third force, it's not around any personality. It's around the idea that Nigeria is not hopeless, and that the hopeless situation we find ourselves in with respect to the federal and state incumbencies do not represent the entirety of the country. And in that situation, we can start to find hope in the people and organize people who are interested in politics but are disgusted and do not want to be co-opted by these two bad and serial performers. So, or non-performers as we should call them. So that's what the third force is about. It is about letting the real Nigerians come and participate in unpolluted waters of politics.
Oh, interesting. Now, would you say that the National Consultative Front, I'm wondering, by the way, why we have National Consultative Front, and because Nigeria currently recognizes political parties, and
yes,
then we have a consultative front. So is this a political party in the making, or it's just some sort of political arrangement to just gather people together to take power?
A National Consultative Front cannot be a political party if it's going to play the role it's playing. Because what it's doing is a clearinghouse of conscientious Nigerians. And as bad as APC is, there are people of conscience there. As bad as PDP is, it's a terrible party, but there are some elements of sincere Nigerians that got caught in there, and they're trying to escape from there. Then in the other parties, there are patriotic Nigerians all across. So if you don't go out and create a neutral body that can draw everyone to the center, you cannot start, you will not succeed, because if you start as ADC, then the other parties will say, well, I have my own party, why am I going to join you? If you start as PRP, the same thing will happen. If you start YDP, ZLP, whatever party you choose to start with, SDP, for example, a highly progressive party, they are not going to just fold into one or the other. So what we tried to do was to say, okay, to be sure that everyone understands that it's not about taking partisan advantage or drawing the membership of the other parties to yours, to buffer your own party, let's create a forum. And you also recognize that there are other people who are not in political parties at present, who are even disgusted with the idea of being called politicians because of the negative connotation, unfortunately, which being a politician has become. So now, when someone is having a conversation and they're not being honest or straightforward, you see, it's not uncommon for the other person to say, really, don't play politics with me. Don't talk to me like a politician. So all of these pejoratives have made it difficult for some people to identify themselves as politicians. So now the NCFront became a sanitized ground which you can bring people in and say, okay, let us discuss. After discussing these issues, some elements of what we discuss will require political action, will require politicking, will require going out to ask for mandate. Then there is a section of the NCF which is working with progressive parties to fuse into some form of influential and broad-based political party that will take the best elements of what Nigeria has to offer and push for a platform to sell to the people. Then we have the other wing that deals with national unity, because the country has become fractious, and there are parts of the country today that even if they are perched thirsty, they are about to die of thirst. There are certain components of Nigeria they will not accept water from because of disagreement. If there are people who are die of protein or protein deficiency, they will say we still don't want protein supply from this particular place. So the atmosphere has been poisoned. So we need to go around and fly the green, white, green flag in every part of the country. So there are elements within the NCF that do not want to seek political offices, do not want to serve in any office, but they want to go and unite the country together. And they are doing that work of going across. Then there are intellectuals who want to be technocratic in their contribution, because it's a shame that simple problems are overwhelming our government. We can't address simple things like food supply. We have police, DSS, road safety, civil defense, the armed forces all combined together, and so many institutions, but we cannot secure a 100-kilometer highway for commerce and people to flow. So there are crises at every juncture in our economy. We can't manage foreign exchange, we can't manage banking, we can't manage our budget, we can't manage even our statutory transfers, we can't manage anything. We can't do projects. We can't even fight crime successfully. So everything is politicized. So there are elements who are technocrats, who are well trained with Nigeria's resources, and who feel appalled and ashamed and disgusted that simple solutions cannot be found to these simple problems. So they are coming out to offer solutions. And they said, look, one of the ways to do it is let's look at where the problems are. And because the problems are political in nature and governmental in essence, let us mirror how the government runs and create our own cabinet positions for all of this. So if we're having a continuous outbreak of cholera, malaria, typhoid, it goes on. And we have medical doctors, public health experts. Why would they not come together and start to formulate policies where we see gaps? Why do we have the Patutomis of this world, the Tokpapa Shuas of this world, and so many other people who can manage any economy anywhere? They are being asked by different countries in the world to come and consult for them. And we are in this country, and we say, well, they are not in government, so they should go and manage their own businesses. So that shouldn't be the case. So we said such people should come into economic management and all of that, so be given advice. That is true of every sector of our governance and economy. So those are the aspects that have to do with the shadow cabinet that we are launching. The idea is Nigerians will now see, okay, I am not having a good supply of food now, but I'm not going to die of hunger. Because from what this shadow cabinet is saying, these are the things we can do and these problems will be solved. So it gives people hope. And in the government, because of the insularity in the APC-led government and the deafness and competitive negativity in the PDP, they are not cross-fertilizing ideas because they don't like each other. The brinksmanship is too much. Every day is cloak and dagger. They are trying to remove their party executive. They are trying to double-cross one another. So they don't have the atmosphere to fertilize ideas. So, and in the government, the reason why you're having a cabinet is not to have nights upon nights of long knives. It is for ideas to come so that you can cross-fertilize these ideas and improve on practices and processes. So because they're not able to do this, inside the government, they're not getting any feedback. So if you see something that is not going right in government and you try to talk about it, because they have these animals that you are trying to bring me down, I'm trying to bring you down, then they look at it with a sense of negativity. We thought we could come into it being people who have a reputation for being frank, be patriotic, and have no motives. So you cannot say Patrick Utomi is being sponsored by your opponent or enemy or foreign body to destabilize your government. It's not possible. You cannot say that Tanko Yunusa is being sponsored by somebody or somebody, domestic or foreign, to destabilize the government. It's not possible. You cannot say that of me. So when we have people like that coming and offering criticism of the government, they know that we are trying to improve the process. Because remember, Buhari has no government. Only Nigeria has a government led by Buhari. Buhari has no economy. Nigeria has an economy run by Buhari. Buhari has no national security of his own. Nigeria has a national security complex led by Buhari as commander-in-chief. So any suggestion, any improvement, any criticism that you can do, any alternative view that you supply is helping the country already. And it is an irony for anyone to say, I will start serving Nigeria from 2023 when I'm elected, but I keep my ideas to myself now while the house burns. I think that's not patriotic. In many countries of the world, before you can be trusted with public office, you must be espousing the ideas of what you are going to do when you get there. They must test your commitment to those ideas. They must realize that you have the competence, you have the stamina, you have the temperament to handle this task before you are given. So that is what we are offering at NCF.
I'm sorry to cut you at this point. I mean, your points are sounding very interesting, and I'm sure Nigerians are quite excited with this as a solution. But I'm a bit worried because we are looking at 2023 in context, and 2023 is just few months away, by the way. How do you intend to achieve all of this? I mean, I believe you've started already, you know, through this means, but we have just 1 year, you're in between now and 2023. How do you intend to achieve all of this, make the Nigerian people, you know, see, trust, and believe in these ideologies, you know, that you are pushing forward within the short time available?
We have 3 advantages. Nigerians, contrary to what politicians believe, are not dumb. For everything I'm saying to you in your studios now, there are 2 million, 5 million, 10 million Nigerians that can say these things better. So we're not going to the people who are dumb and lying down and waking them up to the crisis. They see it, and they are discussing these issues. It's only politicians you find on TV, gathering at weddings, slapping hands in the parliament and laughing. These things are not funny to the people. So one advantage is that we're not saying anything new to the Nigerian people. They already know. Second is that we're already working underneath because our methods are different. We're already consulting with the people and getting feedback. So it's not about the majesty of one person with a pot of money or somebody who has a personal destiny to fulfill because he's been told that he's going to be a great person, he will be president one day. No, it's about Nigerians coming together, home and abroad, woken up by the cries of their less privileged compatriots, saying, we cannot live in the comfort of our lives. We cannot say because we have crossed the bridge and we can burn it, and those who are downstream have to die. So these people are coming together now, consulting among themselves and saying we must do this. Thirdly, 1 year is a long time for serious-minded people who want to work. I can tell you that when we discuss in NCF, I come to the conclusion that the 6 years spent by President Buhari, if it had been spent by NCF, we would have done more than this in 6 months. And when I look at the 16 years spent by PDP in their heydays, and some of the other years added to it now when they are in minor opposition or minor opposition government, if we're given 1/10 of that time, Nigerians are going to smile. Because many things that befuddle and baffle and combobulate these people, they are easy for us to see. Yeah, I think a combination of lethargy, a combination of lack of attention, a combination of lack of sincerity of purpose, a combination of scorched earth politics, a combination of spending most of the time in government on how to amass resources to bribe the people and to confuse the system, is making, this combination is making the people in government to have less than 2% of their time devoted to the work of governance. Everything is political for them. Every aspect, because it is political, it requires them to mobilize resources. Almost every contract they award, every decision they make must have direct political benefit to them. So as a result of that, the people's work is left undone. And because this work is not done, it is now seen by the people as if Nigeria is difficult to govern. That, okay, it's a hopeless country, difficult to govern. So that is what we are trying to erase. We are trying to let the people know that, yes, we have made mistakes in forming a government that is not competent, that admittedly is confused by what is happening, and the president, who you know from time not to be a religious person, President Buhari is not an outwardly religious person. He has no religious sentiment. He's a man of discipline and order. He is now coming out to become an imam and a pastor and saying that there is evil in Nigeria and he cannot handle the evil alone. That is a president that is crying out to the people that have been isolated, have been cornered by certain elements that I brought to come and assist me to do my work. And is crying to the people that unless you rise and come and blast this thing, you can be blaming me for the next 1 million years. But by May 29, 2023, I'm going to pack my bag and go to Daura or Kaduna and settle down. You will be left with this problem. So you better rise now and come and take over your government by making contribution and by monitoring what is going on and by ensuring that self-perpetuation, which is the mission of those who are in government now, either in PDP or APC, does not come to pass. These people can be defeated, and they will be defeated.
Very interesting that you have talked about that, because if we go back to the 2015 elections, we saw that brought in the APC. We saw the kind of campaigns that we saw at the time, smear campaigns, slanderings, maimings. I mean, there were all kinds of, very dirty politics. And now you have a very brilliant idea, of the Nigerian people, intelligentials coming together, to push this forward. I want to ask, how do you intend, to engage where it comes to campaigning and then avoiding the languages, avoiding, the shenanigans, that the political parties, especially the leading political parties right now, usually engage where it comes to campaigning period. And then in order to be able to preserve the ideas, that you are selling forward to the Nigerian people. I'll get your response to it, but we need to take a quick break. All right, viewers, I hope you're enjoying the conversation. Let's take this quick break, and when we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. We'll be right back.